how do you think the market in Africa will grow over the next 10 years, let's say? In your business, which is the lending,
the leasing side. I think the market in leasing in Africa will grow exponentially in the next 10 years. I think we're only scratching the surface in terms of what has been done and what can still be done. But there are a few barriers that have to be removed, particularly on the legal side. And once this is done, and it's in progress, it's improving day by day, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And I think once this is done, it can explode still in the leasing business in Africa. Of course, it depends on which country. Some countries are better than others. But on the whole, as I said, I think we're only scratching the surface. I think we're maybe at 5% of capacity in Africa. So we can still grow 20 times.
Yeah, I think the legal side being an issue for your business, it's a kind of controversial issue, actually, because
it is.
you're not proposing to be illegal.
No.
Are you?
No, absolutely no. It's not that we're doing things against the law. It's just that some laws. There's two problems. There are some laws in Africa that are a barrier to development of leasing and therefore SME lending. The laws are not well thought out, and that's the first problem in some cases. And the second problem is that even when there are things on paper that are good, they're not always applied in practice because of the general operating environment, the legal environment, courts that don't always understand, or maybe even worse, in case of corruption and slowness of procedures. And in the case of leasing, this is really a problem because we rely very much on we finance with leasing a vehicle, for example, or an asset, and it's very important for us that if there's a problem that we can get the vehicle back quickly from the client and sell it, because that's the whole idea of leasing. And this doesn't work in Africa. In many cases it doesn't work. So what is originally meant as a protection for the consumer ends up being a lose-lose proposition, whereby the consumer, because of this rule, does not get access to finance. So what is supposed to protect him is actually harming him. And this is a problem in some cases. But it's improving. Every year it's slowly improving. Kenya has now new lease laws. Tanzania has new lease laws. So that is going the right direction.
Okay, last question. Tell us a good example of what African people did in their countries with your services.
It can be so many things. We are a generalist, so anything.
No, actual real examples.
A real example. Okay, I can do that. We financed a restaurant, a startup restaurant in Zambia, and we took a lease on all the kitchen equipment, the oven, the fridge, the tables, the chairs. And this was a restaurant that had no track record. It was a startup. There's one thing we can do. This is quite a nice one because it is a startup business, and that's what's great about leasing. You can do many times. You can do companies that could not get access to bank finance because they're still young, they have no track record, etc. Another example of what we did was a mobile veterinary services company going into the rural areas in Zambia. And again, Zambia, who has no balance sheet at all. It's a very small business, and they needed equipment and vehicles to service the farmers and the animals particularly. So we financed it, and we financed the equipment. This is an example. There's medical equipment for hospitals. There's vehicles. There's agricultural equipment. Tourism in Kenya is big, and in Zambia and Tanzania there's a lot of tourism finance, etc. But it's mostly mid-sized, small companies. Because the big companies have access to banks, so they don't need us really.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.